The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to the Keefer and Kurre Show. It is the last week of January. It's Kip Keefer. I'm Tony Kurre. We do a show on Saturday mornings, by the way, called The Starting Lineup. A lot of people are like, what are y'all going to talk about during the season where it's not football? We got March Madness. We got plenty of things to get into. We're going to have great sponsors. It's going to be a fantastic show. And, of course, college football will be right around the corner. And the college football news is not over yet. We still have plenty of things to keep us looking through.
It will never be over.
It really won't be. I noticed, we'll get to it in just a second, but there's a couple of other news pieces that I wanted to get over. Kurt Cignetti came out with his top 25 after the season. Did you see who he had in his top 25?
No, I did not.
Something that a lot of people aren't talking about. It came out yesterday.
He came out with a top 25?
Well, he's a voter. He's one of the
the coaches poll.
I didn't know. I didn't know. But I just want to throw it out. And I was kind of looking for something. There's a couple of teams that are a little interesting. I just wanted to throw it out to you. He had, of course, Indiana number 1.
Sure.
This is at the season. Miami number 2. Oregon number 3. Ole Miss number 4.
Oregon number 3.
Yeah, at Oregon number 3.
Oh, come on.
He had Ole Miss. He had Ole Miss number 4. He had Ohio State number 5. He had Georgia number 6. He had Notre Dame number 7. Texas number 8. A&M number 9, and Texas Tech number 10. Then he had Iowa, Alabama 12th, Oklahoma, BYU, Utah, Illinois, Michigan, Washington, Vandy, TCU, USC, SMU, Arizona, Houston, and James Madison number 25. And he because I like to see where these guys vote, and obviously who's going to put his team first. There was a couple of them in there I thought was really interesting. Also, this past Friday, the NCAA has some big news, and this is huge. Did you see what they announced on Friday?
I did.
They announced that you're going to allow the usage of up to 2 sponsorship patches on uniforms starting August 1st, 2026, which means we have more stuff to sell, and I'm assuming that's also going for basketball. So you're going to start seeing sponsorships. It was just a matter of time, right? Your thoughts on that? We squeezed all the toothpaste out of the tube now. The cat's out of the bag. It's just down the street now. We're not even trying to corral the cats anymore. But it's like wherever we can make a buck, we're allowing it to happen. Your thoughts on that?
Well, right now, and I've been saying it all week on my various platforms. You have such an absence of leadership right now in college sports that it's a big void. And when there's a big void, you have what used to be called a land rush. And all the profiteers are invading that space and getting whatever kind of windfall they can get while there's no order, no rules, no sanity. And TV is the one leading the charge. You've got a former Fox TV executive, Tony Petitti, calling the shots for the Big Ten Conference as commissioner, and he's 1,000 lockstep in league with the other big announcement Friday was we're staying at 12 teams for the playoffs because we can't come to an agreement.
Yep.
Because the Big Ten wants to go to 24. They want to double the size of the field. That's because, once again, TV is running the show. 24 teams, that's a lot more games. That's going to be great. More games, more money. And I don't know. It's just out of hand when you look at all that. But we already saw the sponsors creeping into the arena this year. If you notice at Auburn games, there's a yellow wood patch on both sides.
Which should be on the line, by the way. They should put the yellow wood on the line. The yellow line, the first down line. They should put yellow wood across that whole thing, shouldn't they? I mean, that would seem, that would be the
marketing genius.
Put a 2x4 that goes all the way from sideline to sideline. It says yellow wood on it, but doesn't have
sounds
the tag.
Great.
No,
the yellow wood line.
It was only a matter of time. You mentioned the 12 teams. There was some talk of it possibly going to 14. I think most of us were hoping maybe it would go to 16.
Well, that's where it was going to
expand. Go. Yeah, I think 16 is
16 would be the ideal number, and here's why. I am just absolutely apoplectic over the fact that nobody recognizes that in the 12-team format, and it doesn't work in a 12-team format, you got to go to 16 to allow the top 8 teams to have a home game on campus to start the playoffs.
Yes.
This system where, I mean, right now, I don't want to be in the top 4. You get a bye for 27 days. Tony, that's not a reward. That's a detriment.
Agreed.
And I know Indiana overcame it. And, I even have a disagreement with my own son. He goes, well, that's not a large enough sample size. I'm telling you, in sports is about routine. You know this. It's about you're having a regular routine. And if you go and you end your season on a high note, and then have to wait 3.5 weeks to play, it's detrimental. It's not a reward. I mean, a bye, that's why it's called a bye week. If you get a week off, and the NFL has this down, we're seeing Seattle here going to the Super Bowl. They won the right to have a bye week off, not a bye month.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference, and I think it's a terrible thing. If I was a college coach, I think I'd try to lose my last game and be ranked 8th instead of 2nd, because I want to play that first game at home and get some momentum for the playoffs. I don't want to wait a month to play.
By teams 1-7 far in the first 2 rounds. We figured 0-4 just because they didn't have the seeding right in the first year. They figured that out in the second year, and they were still 1-3. The other thing I thought was interesting is Cignetti said, listen, I'll go 16 as long as the SEC promises to go to 24 after the 3rd year. And the SEC said, no. I mean,
No.
That's ridiculous. First of all, we can't figure out what we're going to do tomorrow, let alone in 2029 or 2030. And by the way, the contract runs through 2031, 32 with ESPN, so it could still change before that. And as long as the contract is enforced, a lot of people are like, I can't change till 2032. Sure they can. As long as ESPN agrees to it, as long as the NCAA and whoever's running this show agrees to do it. And obviously, more money is going to be more money. ESPN would be chomping at the bit at it. So, yeah.
And if they can convince our SEC commissioner, Sankey the Yankee, to go along.
Well, that's the first time he's done something where he's smart. He actually said no to 24.
Well, I'm thinking the presidents of this SEC must have said, hey, Greg, I know you're running for office to be commissioner of college football. Yep. Right now, you're the commissioner of the SEC. Get off your ass and do something.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, the transfer portal closed last week. It was open January 2nd to the 16th. I didn't realize this. Did you know the portal was open an additional 8 days for Indiana and Miami players, which makes sense, I guess, because they were playing in a national championship game, and that is something that is a written law. I would have figured, hey, listen, if you're going to transfer, you transfer. But we don't have special rules. But if you play in the national championship game, you get an extra 8 days because the national championship games, which means you get to play for your team and then you can leave their ass, which to me is like, no, you don't get to have it both ways. We did see the Lindley kid from Oregon. He actually left 2 days before they played their game, but they ended up not playing in the national championship game, so it didn't matter. The number one prospect right now is Darian Mensah from Duke. And there is some really interesting news coming out this morning about Duke and Mensah trying to figure out what's going on with this case before it actually has to go to court. There's some urgency on Mensah's side to get things done quickly, as he's not currently allowed to enroll at another institution. Right now, he's just kind of out there. He's not with Duke. Despite being entered into the transfer portal earlier this week, he was the one that, like 2 hours before the transfer portal ended, he got out.
After signing an agreement to come back to Duke.
Exactly. The court in North Carolina granted Duke a temporary restraining that prevents Mensah from enrolling, playing football at, and licensing his NIL to another school through at least January 29th. Which, of course, is coming up here in just a couple of days. Mensah's camp filed an emergency motion for reconsideration of the temporary restraining order on January 23rd, arguing expedited hearing. The hearing was initially scheduled for February 2nd, so he got that moved back, was moved up following the request from Mensah's camp. They're saying that they are sitting at the table and trying to figure out how they can do this without going back to court. I didn't realize this. Mensah signed a deal last year with Duke during the offseason of last year for 2 years, $8 million.
It's a contract.
$8 million. Also, along with that, remember DJ Lagway?
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback with Florida. He was he left Florida to go play at Baylor. He also jumped in the portal, and Baylor said, no, Enough of this jumping around crap. So he's like, I ain't going to court. So he backed out. So he's staying at Baylor. So it's kind of like you're making the woman stay with you. It's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
Normally I would say, listen, if you don't want to be with me, then go. But in this case, Baylor's like, no, we spent way too much on you. Then, of course, we had Damon Williams, the Washington prospect. Now, this past week, he stayed at Washington. He said, I'm staying at Washington.
Yeah.
I'm good to go. And then you got this Dylan Raiola kid out of Nebraska, which was really interesting. He transferred to Oregon
again,
thinking that Dante Moore was going to the pros, and Dante decided, I'm coming back. So now all of a sudden you got a kid that's transferring from Nebraska, which, listen, everyone would want to transfer from Nebraska, right? Move from Nebraska and go to Oregon. My thought process on this is I'm glad that these institutions are growing some nuts and saying, listen, we're getting tired of being roulette wheel on this transfer portal. This is ridiculous. Because I initially thought, and this is just me, because I'm a dumbass. I initially thought that, sometimes the NCAA said, no, I know you have a sick aunt in Oregon and no, we're not going to let you go. I thought maybe there'd be some transfers and maybe some kids had a chance to make a couple $1 million. I didn't in my wildest dreams, and paint me naive here, I didn't think in a million years you'd have guys transferring 3, 4, 5 times in every single year and moving from these guys aren't moving from Memphis to UAB or moving from Middle Tennessee State to I don't know, Kennesaw State. We're talking about guys moving from Notre Dame to Ohio State, from Michigan to Alabama, from LSU to Georgia. I mean, we're talking about big-time guys. Also, Damon Wilson, the Georgia edge, he's still in a lawsuit with the University of Georgia because
he's transferred again, by the way. He left Georgia for Missouri. Now he's transferred to Miami. This is three schools in less than 4 months.
I mean, think about that for a minute. Think about that. And of course, Mensah, he's got a deal with Miami. So his deal's already done. He wants to go to Miami. I don't know. And listen, it worked really well for Duke. Duke got themselves an ACC championship. They showed up for the championship. They got themselves a bowl game. Everyone knew about Duke football this year. I think he was second overall.
Threw for over 3,000
Yeah,
yards.
he had a hell of a year. And so Duke did the right thing by signing him, but they want him back. Now they're like, no, you're not leaving.
Well, yeah. We got a 2-year contract. Here's your signature. I can tell you the problem, Tony. It's 6 letters. AGENTS. These are the voices in these kids' heads. And every time an agent gets a kid to jump to another situation, cha-ching, the agent cashes in big. The more movement, the more chaos. That's like being a real estate guy. You sign a deal for a new house, a new property. Hey, I got to show you something down the street here. It's a lot better.
It's a great point. I didn't even think about that.
Keeps rolling in.
I didn't even think about that. It's funny because, first of all, to get an education at Duke, to say that you're a Duke grad, that carries a lot of weight.
Oh, for sure.
It carries a hell of a lot more weight than getting a degree from Thug U in Miami. I'm just telling you. If you sit there and you walk into a top 25 company or top 500 company, and you're
a
from
Duke
Duke,
graduate?
you're going to be in.
Man.
Miami, maybe, but not somebody. But Duke is in. I don't know if Mensah is going to be a quarterback in the National Football League or not. I have no idea, and I know he's trying to grab every dollar he can, but he's still making He's up for $4 million this year if he stays at Duke, which is
crazy.
It's incredible. But I do think that it's really interesting in that you do finally have some institutions. And now, we always talk about coaches. They're going to have great X's and O's. They're going to have to be great recruiters. And now they're going to have to be really special business people. They're going to have some people around them that have deep pockets, like a Mark Cuban who used to be an alum or someone like that. I saw him on the sidelines at the Indiana game. He had something to do with that. That's going to be the part. But I'm wondering, tell me, where do you think recruiting is going from this point on? Because how important is recruiting? Who's doing the recruiting? Are these coaches just dealing with agents now? Are we going? Are we going to high schools? Are we even looking at kids? Are we trying to get kids?
Most of those kids have agents now. Yeah. It's not mom and dad and everybody else. There was a kid. my broadcast partner on the radio, Terry Quillian's a Georgia graduate and got Georgia DNA through and through. There's 3 buildings on campus named after her family. Terry sent me footage from a recent announcement at a high school of a kid who grew up in Georgia, was a Georgia fan all of his life. He comes to his announcement that day. His family's wearing Georgia gear. I'm not making this up.
Oh, no.
They got Georgia shirts and hats on. He stands up in front of him and goes, and he looks around his hats and he reaches down and he puts on an LSU hat. And it's like, what? This guy has been signed, sealed, and delivered. You've got, and that is 1,000% agents oriented because they've got him a better deal. The whole thing is just insane right now that the landscape is this unstable, but that's the reality of what we're dealing with. And the only answer, Tony, is, you have, Kirby Smart is kind of a dinosaur now. Kirby Smart is one of these coaches that starts to establish a relationship with a kid when he's like 9th and 10th grade. Becomes like a family member. Kirby used to joke, he says, sometimes I have to eat 6 lunches in one day because I can't turn down. We go see a different kid. He goes, I made fried chicken for you. He said, well, I just ate, a pot roast at the last house. He said, that's why I'm 20 pounds overweight. But you establish those relationships and get those kids, even if they show up and come to your place, now you've got to if they start progressing, you've got to re-recruit them and give them more and more money every year because everybody's coming after them. What about this other thing this weekend with Dabo Swinney and Pete Golding? Pete Golding, they've got a kid already sitting in a classroom at Clemson who transferred in from California. Pete Golding is texting him in class saying, hey, we'll kick our offer up to $2 million. I know you've already signed. Find out what the buyout is to get out of that contract. It's not even agents now. It's the coaches themselves violating rules because it's the wild, wild west. There are no rules.
Yeah, and one guy that we love, and I like Dabo a lot, and I think he's a great coach. He's won 2 national titles. He's done a world of. At one point, people said you can't win a championship at Clemson. He's going to have to come home to get that done. He's proven that he's done that. He puts his hand on the rock. I love what he stands for, but he has got to adapt or die. He's got to change. He's got to start going out there.
Well, now they go in the portal and get a guy, and Ole Miss is just stolen.
Oh, I know. It's funny too. I remember. So I didn't go. I went to Xavier, so I was 30 minutes from home. So I went down there. We couldn't afford for me to stay on campus. I didn't want to stay on campus anyway. So I was working 3 jobs. I'd go down to college, get my 15 hours, come home, and work 3 jobs, and go back down. And I did that 5 days a week. Now these kids who are leaving, say, Iowa or wherever, and then they're going cross country to go play football, and it's not working out, and all of a sudden they're calling mom and dad. I don't know where the money comes from. And again, if you're talking to $8 million, I guess it's not an issue. But can you imagine how that used to be really special when you got that letter in the mail? Saying I've been admitted, because first of all, you gotta get admitted. Listen, I'm not an idiot. If you throw from 4,000 yards at Thompson High, you're going to be able to go anywhere you get. I understand that. For most of us, we're not playing collegiate sports, and so when we got that piece of paper saying you've been admitted, it was a very special moment, and you were committed to that institution because I was a Muskie. I was a Muskie, and I still to this day, it's almost like a parent of mine. It's an unconditional love for that university. To now go into these situations where these kids are just grabbing the buck, I just, for some reason, think it's going to come back to absolutely hammer their ass down. I don't know if it's going to change the logistics of their loyalty. I don't know if it's going to change the way they do business. I can't imagine finding out that I'm working for a guy who went to 4 different colleges in 4 different years to chase the buck, and now he's my boss. I don't know how that makes me feel as an employee. I mean, this guy. How long is this guy going to be at this place? I mean, you got Lane Kiffin going to his 7th job in 18 years, for God's sakes. I mean, is this going to be the last one? No. I don't know if he'll go to pros. I don't know what'll be next. And that's for him to do. That's fine. But from a loyalty standpoint, it hurts. I just hate it. I said something on the show this past week, and you guys laughed, and I expected that because it is funny. I miss the innocence. I miss the innocence. I miss the naivety. I miss the innocence I know we don't. The legend laughed his ass off about the word student athlete. I know we haven't been talking about student athletes for years now because it's the athlete student. Now it's not the student athlete. And I know that we don't even say that anymore. But as long as there's some type of innocence in college, and the fact that, we put our arms around each other and we sing the alma mater after a football game. I believe in that, and I love that. I think that's what makes college sports special.
That it is.
And that's all going away. And it just bums me out. It bums me out. And it really does. These kids now, that should stay, like Barry Larkin staying with the Cincinnati Reds for 18 years, getting an MVP in the year he shouldn't have got it. He did it because he was there for the Reds for 16 years first.
Yep.
He ends up getting into the Hall of Fame, not because he had great numbers, because he stayed with the same damn team for 20 years, which is unheard of, which is really, really cool.
And if you think Barry Larkin, now you think Cincinnati Reds. You don't. His last image in your mind is not him running around wearing a Seattle Mariners uniform.
No. And so, you wonder how these kids that are willing to stick it out and stay at a school, and the first guy I think of is Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, he's sitting there at school. He's got Jalen Hurts. There's no way in hell Jalen Hurts is ever going to be benched. His dad says, no, you committed to this school, and you're staying in the school. You have a year up on Jalen, so when Jalen's done, you'll have your opportunity, you'll have your turn. And what happens in the national championship game?
He gets a chance.
And he gets a chance, and he wins the game for himself. And now look at the guy. Listen, he didn't have the great NFL career like we all thought he probably would because he's been banged up so much. It's not over yet, but you know what? He's got a lot of this in the bank. He's got a lot of this in the bank.
Oh, yeah.
And he's super sellable. I mean, he'll be out there selling shit for Dick's Sporting Goods when he retires because of his. Think about all the endorsements he can get just for having concussions, Kip. He can walk around saying, "Hi, I'm Tua Tagovailoa. I had 17 concussions, man. If your kid wants to be protected, go to Dick's and get this brand new." Think about the salesmanship of that guy. I mean, he can sit there and go out and say, "Yeah, my brain's fucked up. Because of that, I want to sell you something here from Academy Sports." I mean, where's the damn loyalty anymore? It just drives me crazy.
Well, and you're hitting a real solid vein here, because what you're describing is what I've been lamenting is what makes college football special is the traditions and the color and the pageantry. It's not supposed to be a professional endeavor. And the big word that you're describing is affiliation. These people, when you go to a school, you have a lifelong affiliation with that school and that program, and you root for them come hell or high water. You're always sensitive to that. My dad went to Duke for just a year, just his freshman year, but growing up, knowing that's where, and he didn't end up even finishing college, but I've always been kind of a closet Duke fan because of my dad. My dad always rooted for Duke because he went there. And that's something you're starting to see slip away. I was glad to see even big celebrated guys that are all kind of questionable, but it was kind of cool to watch the Miami game against Indiana and see Ed Reed and Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis on the sideline. You're not
going to see that anymore.
No.
How cool was that? That was super cool.
Yeah, those guys are lifelong committed.
Irving's still
doing
coke. Irving's still got to be doing coke. By the way, he is.
Oh, there's no question.
I don't know how old he is now, but I know he wrote a book, and I know how much coke he did when he was at Miami. But he's still got to be on the.
Terry asked me because they showed us a clip on the sideline of Michael Irvin, like right in the face of some Miami kid, talking him up. She goes, and she texts me and says, "How is he allowed to do that?" I said, "Well, I guess he gets some kind." He actually went out for the coin flip. He was the quote honorary captain, which I guess that allows him sideline access, but that wasn't very well thought at. You really didn't have to have Michael Irvin over there pumping up the Hurricanes right in their face.
That's one of the things, and I had an interesting conversation, someone that's going to be actually spending some money on the starting lineup, the Talladega Super Speedway. We got the Daytona 500 coming up here February 15th in a couple of weeks, and of course the race at Talladega in April and October. And I was talking to the president over there, and I was like, what really changed for me is I always knew the Budweiser guy. I knew that was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah.
I knew who the Haviland guy was. I knew that was Davey Allison. I knew who the DuPont guy was. That was Jeff Gordon. I knew, and you knew your affiliations, the Folgers. You knew all these affiliations, and all of a sudden, when the money started pouring in, all of a sudden people started stealing people away.
Yeah,
I didn't know who was driving for who anymore, but I knew who drove the Cheerios car. I always knew who the affiliation was, and then it just got to the point where people were just trading, and it just looked. And then they were changing teams. And they were like, "Well, hell, I'm going to go run for Gibbs, or I'm going to go run for Roush." And it was like, and that's where it just got kind of messy. And sometimes that's where money. I mean, sometimes.
Well, just as a casual sports fan, I've never been a NASCAR fan ever, but I always was aware of the principles. There was never on a sports broadcast when they said so and so just won the Daytona 500. I had heard of him and was familiar with him. Now, Tony, I can't name three current drivers. I mean, that's where they've lost their identity. This was a sport that was extremely popular because people identified and were affiliated with a certain driver that they identified with and they felt comfortable supporting. They've lost that now. They've let it go all corporate, and who knows who the hell's behind these cars.
I know it. I always think Tony Stewart.
And they started letting Yankees drive in the races too. That was a mistake because it was always Cale Yarborough kicking Cale.
You know what they need to do? They need to start putting moonshine in the back of the cars again. This is what they need to do, and that's how it got started. That's how they need to do it, man.
This is a Southern sport that's been taken over by the whole nation.
It all started with booze, man. It all started with moonshine.
I mean, when some guy named Kozlowski's winning races, we've lost our identity.
Kozlowski. I wonder, I have not seen one, and I've always been like, we used to have this argument on air, and Jay kind of switched over the course of the year because we went on the air talking about this. If we were looking for a hot button topic, it was give me the Mount Rushmore of coaches. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? And the other one is, should we pay players? That was the three hot button topics. Yep. If you said those, the phone lines went bleed out. I mean, it was like unbelievable. I want to know where all these people are that said these players need to get paid. I haven't seen one. I haven't heard one because I've always been like, hell, listen, if you're going to an Ivy League school, you go to Brown, it's $250,000 a year to go to college at an Ivy League school. You're making $1 million and you're getting a scholarship to go play football up there. And all of a sudden, I don't see any people transferring. Go tell mom and dad you're transferring out of Harvard. See what they say there. I don't think that's going to be happening. Or I haven't looked, but I wonder what the transfer portal looks like for America's teams, for Air Force, for Navy, for Army. Are those kids loyal enough? You can't see once you go to Army, you can't transfer. You can't leave.
You've got a commitment not just to play football. You've got a commitment to the service academy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you don't see a lot of movement in the portal. That's why. And I still don't remember in one of our other broadcasts, Navy played some tomato can in the postseason. I said, well, one thing for sure, nobody from Navy's going to opt out. They're going to have their whole team. And somebody disagree with me. I don't remember what, but might have been my own son might have said, I don't think that's that important. I think it's the most important factor of any of these crappy bowl games.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. It's not the end of it. At least the NCAA is back in the news again. So yeah, we're going to be back to 12 teams, which I think is good. That's a good thing. 12 teams. I would like to see 16, but really, unless Xavier starts picking a football team.
Listen to this and consider this. They have revised the rules a little bit. Now, Notre Dame has insisted, as I think we've talked about, Notre Dame has insisted on a provision that if they are ranked in the top 12 in subsequent years, they are automatically one of the 12 teams that have to get in.
And they agreed to that.
Yeah, and they did. Because once again, the Notre Dame athletic director and the commissioners are the people on the executive committee. So he just did a little lobbying around the room, got enough votes. Okay, if Notre Dame's in the top 12, they're in. Okay, that's one thing. The other one is, it was so ridiculous. The ACC was a disaster this year. Duke, who lost 5 games, won the championship, but they were excluded from the playoffs despite being the ACC champion. Not anymore. Whoever wins the championship game is automatically in. If this was the rules last year, you would have had Duke in with their 5 losses. You would have had Notre Dame in. And guess who wouldn't have gotten into the playoffs?
Alabama.
Miami.
Yep.
Miami would not have been in. If these rules were in place last year, Miami, who went to the finals and pushed Indiana right to the brink, would not have been in the field.
That's a great point.
So the dumpster fire continues.
It's a great point. And it's great to talk about, man. It's fun. It's a
12
blast.
best teams, Tony. That's what it needs to be.
We do a show called K4 Wins. It's on every Tuesday and Friday, and Kip joins us for those shows, as well as Case Keefer, of course, the man who does all the editing out there for the Las Vegas Sun, does fantastic. And we're looking forward to a Super Bowl 60 coming up. We have the table set for that. We'll talk about that tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, wherever you get your favorite Tony Curre radio programs. And, of course, you can watch all of our shows live on YouTube, and not to mention the Coastal Sports Network. They just signed a new deal, by the way, with Audacity. So they're going to be helping us out, pulling our numbers. So that's a good thing to be on. So we'll check you out 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then we'll get after it again. Don't forget, Saturday mornings, 10:30, 11 o'clock. I don't know. I haven't looked at the TV schedule. What comes on 11 o'clock now after us? During is it basketball?
Usually, yeah.
Okay. So we'll be right up against
every once in a while, ABC actually has a hockey game, which is interesting, but because that came on after us 2 weeks ago. I think either basketball or hockey, there's definitely sports on right after we're done.
I like that. So check it out, ABC 3340 in the starting lineup along
and
with...
bad news last night for my son, Clade. He has traveled to Canada, where it's -9 right now. He was at the Ottawa Golden Knights game last night. Final score, Ottawa Senators 7, Golden Knights 1.
He was
having a good trip, Clade.
He went to Ottawa for the game?
Yeah. Yeah,
really?
He's going to Montreal. They play in Montreal tomorrow night, so he'll be seeing the Golden Knights and the Canadians. Maybe it'll go better.
Man, that is awesome, dude. That's a different world. It's because it is a different world.
Completely.
I've been to Toronto a couple times, and it's a totally different. First of all, you better speak some French.
It is. Of course, the Canadians didn't get off to a great start. They're staying in Montreal. They rode a train down to Ottawa yesterday for the game. They got halfway there, and the train came to a slow stop. We are going to have to wait for a replacement train. Our brakes aren't working. So congratulations, Canadians.
By the way,
blame Canada.
By the way, do you know who Pete Rose was with when he got his 4,000th hit?
Montreal Expos.
That'd be the Montreal Expos. Sure is. That's a little. That's when
he
you
looked
kind
of funky with that big colored M on his hat, but
I kind of miss Montreal just a little bit. I remember Andre Dawson. It was that Montreal was
Tim
like
Raines,
the
Warren Cromartie,
they were like the
Valentine. They had all kinds of talent.
They were the farm league. They're the farm league of Major League Baseball.
94, Tony, when the strike happened, the Expos were so far in front in the National League. They were the codlock favorite to win the World Series, and it never happened.
Never happened.
And probably they would still be in Montreal had they won a World Championship.
Yeah, that's a great point, too. I kind of miss having them up there, and I miss the Seattle Supersonics, too. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yep, my favorite when they first started in Parc Géry in Montreal that only seated 21,000 people. They had a catcher, and you'll probably remember this when I say it, but every time he came up, the French-Canadian announcer would go, "Number 21, John de Bacabelle."
Didn't Carter played up there too, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Gary Carter.
Gary Carter. Sure. God, I love Gary Carter. I might have to go back and look at my baseball card collection today, just because they had some killer players. I mean, unbelievable players.
They did. Absolutely. Quick shout out to Mike McDonald, 38 years old, second year as the Seattle Seahawks coach. He's going to the Super Bowl. That's pretty impressive.
That is very impressive.
McDonald, the first thing he did, though, when he was hired last year for the Seahawks, he hired an offensive coordinator by the name of Ryan Grubb. And didn't really work out. Ryan Grubb was canned at the end of the year, came back to Alabama. That move proved pretty successful because the Seattle offense looked pretty good to me last night.
It worked out, and Sam Darnold's still not getting any respect. I mean, all the guy does is win, and he just...
And how good is this guy from Ohio State, this Smith-Njigba? Good grief.
Awesome. It's going to be a great Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. We got a week off. All right, man. I will catch up with you tomorrow and look forward to Saturday's show. It's going to be fantastic. Make sure you check out Need to Know. We separate the shows because a little Kip goes a long way, my friend. And then the Keefer and Kurre show.
Every woman in my life will tell you that. Yeah.
We hashtag everything. So check us out right here on the Tony Curre Radio Network, and have a God bless day. Thank you.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curre Radio.